we talk about where do I see glimpses of the kingdom, and I've really kind of become a fan of a lot of the Catholic movements. Carolyn and I got to go to a CC a few years ago and really got to kind of breathe St. Francis and St. Clare of the Poor. But Oscar Romero, who's been, recently named a saint by Pope Francis, but how these people really put their life on the line for the gospel. When we talk about, as pastors so many times, it's like just our persecution we call, criticism. And he said, a church that's not provoking culture is virtually, what he was saying is a church that's not prophetic against injustice, a church that's not pissing people off. It cannot be the church. How do you all feel about that? Because, it's kind of this tension of attracting and then where Jesus would say those hard things.
I think in the tension, we have to remember that Jesus created crisis most often for whom? It was for religious people.
Right.
And he saved, often his words of hope and comfort and invitation were towards the culture or the world, so to speak. And I think in the church, we're quite comfortable doing the opposite, meaning critiquing or being prophetic toward culture, which is sort of code for like something out there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to comfort or sharpen or disciple the people in here. And there's a safety in that, right? Because you're critiquing those who aren't here and you're comforting those who are here. And I think with the Oscar Romero quote, what we have to be mindful of is I think what he was talking about, if you read that full quote, and if you look at Jesus, is there's a certain burden we have to actually afflict those who are becoming disciples.
Yeah.
And there's a certain obligation we have to actually invite and show an extraordinary amount of grace and mercy towards those who are outside the church. And so when you look at a church that is highly critical of culture, and then it's a love fest when you go to worship, I'm skeptical of how prophetic that really is or how Jesus-like that really is.